welcome everyone to Sunday Sentiments.
Of course, this is a hate crime.
And if she's found guilty, then she has to face the consequences.
They normally end up killing some particular kinds of people.
It's a violation of human rights.
That's a very traumatic event.
So I just wanted to ask the panel about their own opinions on this topic.
Welcome everyone to Sunday Sentiments. We are a panel that meets every 2 weeks to discuss topics of interest and current news. So this weekend, we've decided to take a pause on our normal discussions and join the 16 days of activisms against violence towards women and girls. And ironically, at the start of this campaign, on the 25th of November, on Orange the World Day, this is why we're all wearing orange, it's the campaign color, a young girl of 12 years old was killed in Liverpool on the very day that we were starting this campaign. So as an organization based in Liverpool, we were obviously all shocked. The family is traumatized. The whole community is actually traumatized, and we know this was a big national story as well. So today we're going to discuss this story and also just talk about globally, because our panel is from around the world. What do you think about this specific issue and this campaign? Did you know about it? Did you know about this campaign? Did you know about Orange the World Day? Just a discussion to highlight this issue. So welcome panelists. We will just start with this story. Did any of you hear of this story in Liverpool of a 12-year-old girl that was killed? And I'll just Shakira and then Beryl.
I honestly can't say that I knew, like, other than working for 4 weeks, I didn't know that this was like the White Ribbon Day, and I didn't know about this 16 days of the fight against violence against women. I didn't hear about it, but like when we were going to work that day, like all the the streets were cut off. You couldn't get in anywhere, and then you find out immediately on the news that this had happened to a 12-year-old. I think it was just most disturbing for me because I saw a lot of people blaming her and her parents for this happening instead of the actual culprits themselves.
Thanks, Shakira. Yes, like we said, we were all shocked. And just a little background story. Most of Liverpool was in the city centre for the Christmas lights to be turned on. This incident happened around 8:20, so not very late at night. Obviously, it has to be dark for the lights to be turned on. And there were quite a number of families out with their kids to watch the lights being turned on when this happened. So it was quite shocking. And as Shakira said, there were a lot of people blaming the girl, blaming the family. Even someone left a really horrible comment on our own post about the incident that was basically blaming the girl, saying, why was she out at that time of night? And given the background of the story, it was the turning on of the lights. It has to be dark for that to happen. And why not look at the perpetrator? Why look at the victim? So thanks, Shakira. How about you, Beryl? What do you think about all this story?
I would like to say that we just decided our campaign, and it was the day that we wanted to post our first story from different countries, the victim's name, just to say her name, hashtag that we wanted to remember the victims of femicide. And the first same day that we had this shocking news from Liverpool, I was coming to office and I had this news from police. Like, I just thought maybe there is some construction on the streets. Instead, it was this horrible event, and it was really shocking. It was just so terrible to find names from every country to share, like, to remember. It was so many names that we had to choose randomly. That's incredible thing. I was just Googling and I was just reading the cases. It was really shocking and terrifying to see how many names, how many women, how many horrible stories. and at the same day that happened just so near to us. It was really so terrifying for me.
Thanks, Beryl. Yes, you are involved. Actually, you're involved in this campaign. You're the one getting everything ready. You came up with the idea for the campaign, and we know how hard it was to even decide on which 16 names to keep because there were so many names. And as you say, on the very first day when we had a name ready, this happened, and just very, very shocking. How did it make you feel? This is Beryl and Shakira, as young women in Liverpool. How did that make you feel about being out in Liverpool?
I got so scared. I got so scared that I was like, so it means that I shouldn't go out, like, because I'm there alone. I'm doing a traineeship as a, I'm trying to be independent. I'm trying to gain experience somewhere far from my country. So I was that it means that I shouldn't be out because this can happen also to me. It's just so scaring, and I don't know, it's like, it's a threat on every woman, this kind of events that are happening mostly to young girls that trying to, being independent, going out with friends just to have fun and everything. And then we saw this terrible comment, why she was out, why she was this and that. This always happens, these comments, but it's really so threatening for every young girls and every woman seeing these terrible comments. Also, we are taking the backside on us, just we feel terribly sad and everything, and then we should also feel like scared for the things that can happen out of our control.
Oh, thank you, Beryl. Shakira?
Personally, this thing that Beryl mentioned as well about like you're younger, you want to go out, you want to have fun wherever it is that you're going, and people putting these expectations on you, like the man in the comment section of the post that we made, saying that, well, she shouldn't have been out at that time, and saying that it was too dark, and that he even mentioned in the last comment before it was all deleted that it gets dark at 4 p.m. Like, am I expected to stay home, like be home in my own home, locking all the doors and being scared at 4 p.m. just because it's like later in the year? That doesn't make any sense. I already take enough precautions on a daily that nobody has to tell me that. I already know that myself, that I need to take these precautions. I don't need some random person telling me that I don't even get to be outside because some psycho might just choose me as his next victim in whatever violent outburst that he's gonna have.
Thank you, Shakira. Yes, we did talk about that, how ironic it was that he was actually stating the time as 4 p.m. It gets dark. So what are kids meant to do? Should they not go to school because it's going to be dark and some psychopath will be out there? So agreed, it should not, the onus shouldn't be, on everyday people who are just going about normal things. The focus should be on the perpetrators. So next we'll go to Shiro, Shamsa, then Catherine.
What I found shocking was the age of the perpetrators, because according to the reports, they were young boys, 14 or 15, something like that. So I was wondering if they are that violent and dangerous at that age, what kind of men will they grow up to be? And then also I wondered, for those of us who are parents, are we doing something wrong? Because these are children, really. They come from homes. So how are their parents training them? What are their parents teaching them? What examples do they have at home? How are their fathers? What examples do they set for their children? And what about the mothers too? It raised a lot of questions because of the age of this. They were boys, they were little boys, they were children to me. It was very surprising and shocking.
Thank you, Shiro. Yes, we were all very shocked at the age of these perpetrators. And actually, a comment that I'm sure Jamila will raise also after is, why didn't that person ask what were those boys doing out at that time? Because they were all the same age. If you're going to talk about kids that age should not be out. And also in terms of parents, I have to say, I know myself, there were times I was out doing stuff that, my mom raised me well, but I was out doing whatever, which people might think, what is her mom doing? But sometimes kids do go and get involved in things that their parents don't know about. And then we also have to consider that, yeah, some people don't have good role models, especially boys. They don't have a lot of positive role models at home or around them in their life. So thank you, Shiro, for your thoughts. Shamsa, Catherine, and then Jamila, please.
Thank you. It was definitely shocking for me, especially when we were, preparing for 16 days and violence against women now. And suddenly it happened in our city where we are living in Liverpool. And it was only 12 years old girl, and she was murdered by same age boys. So, I saw the comment on your post that what was she doing at that time, but nobody is asking why this age of boys were carrying a weapon. This is the question. And the girl she killed, her life is finished, but at the same time, the boys, they ruined their life as well. So parents think about it. If they're boys, they can't say that we are, they shouldn't be careless, they're boys, because they're ruined their life as well. So mindset should be changed. And, people should start, growing kids to tell them, especially boys, because it's their responsibility to grow their kids to telling them that it's wrong and it's also dangerous for their life. And especially in this time when violence against women is growing, before the pandemic it was like 3 in 1, but now it's 2 in 3, 2 in 3. So it's increased already. So it's very important session to create awareness that it should stop, because on the other side, if we will see that it's creating so much things, like it's creating disease, it to young girls, they're trafficking from different countries, and it's very dangerous for them. I know one girl, she used to live next to me, and she was trafficked from one country, and she got HIV, and she had one kid, and she was very innocent. She was like hardly 17 years old. She had one baby, and she didn't know about the father of the boy, and she got HIV at the top, and and I felt very bad for her. She was so innocent, and she was so young, and it was just for the trafficking. She was abducted from somewhere in her country, and she trafficked in the UK. It was not her fault, but she was struggling, and she was facing so much.
Thank you, Sham. Sorry.
Thank you, I'm finished.
Okay. Yeah, you brought out a very important point there. Like the question actually should be, what were boys of that age doing out with knives? Yeah, that is where the focus should be. And also it looks like these young people, both the girls and the boys, have been failed. Shiro mentioned before, it could be the parents, it could be the government. We don't know, we'll discuss that after. But all round, these young people have been failed. As Shamsa said, 2 sides, their lives are gone. So that's a big shame. Catherine and then Jamila, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. These incidents destroy life on many different levels. And I think especially the one in Liverpool on that day really brought it home to me in a different way. It brought it so close to us. Because we think of these incidences in violence at home by partners, or in a dark park when women walk home alone at a late hour. And here we are, I'm a mother of 2 young teenagers, and here we are in the middle of the city. A girl is stabbed by a peer. It's not some creepy old man following her in the morning hours. It's actually a peer. And I also fear, because, you know, we are trying to teach our girls to be self-confident and to speak up for their rights. So, you know, ideally, if somebody is doing some catcalling or what it's called, or speaks to you inappropriately, you would hope that you call them out and that you speak up and say, please don't call me, don't do this. And now we have to say, don't do that. You know, this person could be carrying a knife, and a random peer of yours could, and for me, that is a real game changer, and it makes everything even more scary as it is already. And of course, the questions have to be asked: who failed these kids? And yes, parents are always the first to blame, but there is a government that has cut all sorts of money for youth services. So these kids, as you said before, they don't have the right role models, and they don't have, you know, obviously they're carrying a lot of anger, and they need ways of dealing with this anger and dispose it. But yeah, for me it was shocking, because it made it so personal, and it brought it really into my home in a way.
Thank you, Catherine. I resonate with you. Yes, again, I also have girls, and you know, you've got empowered girls, feisty girls, and you'd hope, you know, if somebody is trying to hit on them, and usually very respectfully, women say no, and then next thing you're being called names and all sorts of things. And you know, I know my girls would want to stand up for themselves if somebody was abusing them because they said no. But yes, now we're having to say, you know what, don't even hang around trying to stand up for yourself, which is a shame. Means women have again to start policing themselves, because it's just not safe to even be able to stand up for yourself. You could end up dead, and this is now what we're telling our girls: just move on. It's like a.
And Chico, even more, you know, it's almost to say, don't trust your peers.
Exactly.
You know, it could be the friend you're normally out with. You end up in an argument, and this friend could potentially carry a weapon and hurt you. It's yeah, very scary.
It is scary. Thanks for that outlook, Catherine. And we will talk more about, you know, the government and role models after this. Jamila, please.
Yeah, so I want to add to something that you and Catherine both said. First, what you said before, the thing is, it's gotten to the point where it's anything. I mean, you could literally get, that girl actually could have just been, you know, joking around and being like as nice as she possibly could, even to just be like, oh, I don't want to like talk to you, or like right now, not right now. And then men or boys even, and I don't want to differentiate them because they act like that from a young age, and that's how they get used to being that way. They can't seem to be told no, because in society they kind of do get everything that they want because of maybe the fact that they're known as the heads of things. So if someone's saying no, they'll get angry. Or even if you're being nice and you're just trying to walk away slowly, they'll be like, why are you walking away? Even when you're being nice to them. And there's women who've literally been killed because of that. And it's not because they answered back or anything. So the way I live is just, no matter what, you could literally get, like, as a woman, you could literally be killed no matter what. And then the other issue is that, you know, the whole peers, or not peers, who they look up to. I personally believe that it's not even about who they look up to, who they see. It's about, like, boys always want to impress other boys. And people have said this. They very much would prefer to get the approval of men when it comes to women than the approval of women when it comes to women. So maybe she said something back, like in a jokey way, and then he was like, oh, this is my time to impress, and then stabs her because of that. And I do think that it's like, it's a problem that they don't really get from anyone older than them. They just automatically think that these are my boys. Yeah, yeah, my boys, my friends, you know, I've got to impress them. And it's very like, it's sad. And I do think that parents should teach their kids from a young age to never try to impress people who they owe nothing to. And then my last point is that I don't think society has a problem with kids or even just people in general going out at a certain time until a girl or a woman is killed for it. It's very weird. Like, this guy wouldn't have even went up to a bunch of kids out late to tell them you need to go home because you're out late. He only decided to bring it up because a girl has been stabbed and killed. And I think that's very disgusting, and a horrible way to think that the only time that you can, you know, get the guts to say something about it is when a female or a woman has died. It's, yeah, I don't like that at all.
Thank you, Mila. Yes, what a comment to make in the, you know, just hours after such a tragedy. Like, that is the first thought in your head, you know, not for the victim, not for the parents. That is the first thing you can think to come out of, and then be so abusive as well in your delivery, because he did start using swear words against us as women, you know, 4-letter words and all that. That just shows you what kind of person this is, to be thinking of the victim as the one at fault rather than.
And he wouldn't have said this. He wouldn't have said this any other time. It's just strange that that's when he thinks about it, instead of, you know, maybe actually doing something about this problem he thinks is happening. He only brings it up when someone's died to blame that person, instead of going just in general all the time. When you have a problem or you want to change something in society, you usually live by that, not just bring it up when you want to have a point to come against women. That's what I feel like he was doing. He wanted a chance to say something.
It's also pointing out the fault with the girl. The girl was too late out. She shouldn't be out at that time. It's the girls who were wearing the wrong clothes, and the next, we don't know much, but the next thing being she shouldn't have answered back. So it's always the focus on the girls or the women and what they're doing wrong, and people forget that actually the wrong is with the perpetrators.
Exactly, 100%. Also, in terms of not saying anything and moving on, I feel like we can't win, because if then you ignore the guy, then he feels you've embarrassed him in front of his friends, and who knows then what he will do. It's like there's no way to win. This is why we'll talk after everyone has a go about then, so what do we do? What should we do? Because it looks like either way you may not win. You could say, I'm not gonna engage, I'm just gonna walk away. Next thing is like, who do you think you are? You're showing me up in front of my mates, and next thing again, you're dead.